how to put in false plaits. Here I've got 3 of the 4 sizes that Equine Image make. This is their small, medium and large. They also do an extra large. So this horse has quite a thin mane in the lower half of his neck. So I've just done a couple of plaits a bit further up and I'm comparing the size. So that is the medium size there. And now this is the small. So you can see for this one, the small is actually a bit too small. So the medium matches that plait. But for this plait, the medium looks better and that large one actually looks too big. So to put one in, first of all, I dampen the mane down a bit with some water. Then I'm using the Smooth Braids gel spray just to help control any of the hairs a little bit. And then also the NTR sculpting stick just across the top there to help control any flyaways. So comb it down just to neaten all the hairs, and then I like to do it so it's actually coming straight up out of the mane out of the crest rather than angling down. So just pop the plaiting lacquer around it, and you want to have a little bit of space between the crest and your rubber band, because when we put it in, we're actually going to fold it over. So there's a couple of different ways to get these in and to sew them in. I think I've had a bit of a play, and I think this is probably one of the easier ways to manage it. So I actually like to get a second plaiting band, and now I wrap it around that bit of mane that we've already put the plaiting band on, and the tail of the false plait. Now, this horse, whilst he has a thin mane, it is actually a bit longer. If I was going to be permanently putting in or regularly using false plaits, I would probably shorten this part of his mane. But for the purpose of the video, I'm just going to wrap it around. So as you can see, I've now got those lacquer. So it's actually the second lacquer is sitting just over the top. So when I fold it in, when I push it underneath, it sits underneath. It sits under the extra bit to look a bit more like a normal plait. So I wrap the rest of the hair around the base, and I've just grabbed another plaiting band and I'm wrapping it around. And so now the last stage is to actually fold it under and to sew it into position. So I just grab a needle and thread now and sew backwards and forwards underneath and through the base of the plait to hold it in the position I want it to actually stay in. You can actually sew it in from the very beginning. You don't need to use these plaiting bands that I've used to position it to start with, but I think it's just a little bit easier as it can be a little bit fiddly. So I think this is a bit easier for people to get the hang of. And then you just sew backwards and forwards through the base of the plait there until it's staying where you want it to sit. So it's sitting there nicely, as you can see. And then I just snip off the thread, and that's your plait all done. So as you can see, whilst there's an awful lot less hair in that plait, it's actually not very obvious, and especially from further back in a distance, it looks quite natural.